Why didn't more villains come back? Because movies, unfortunately, have a budget. It would have been overwhelming otherwise. I think the amount of villains was just plenty. I mean, logistically, the movie was already crammed with returning characters, and the more you spread it out, the thinner the movie is. That is why the Russo's Avengers movies are so impressive. Also money. More actors equals an even bigger budget, and for what? The movie was great. Wong meme. You wanted more? The only two villains we're really missing that are worth a damn are Mysterio and Vulture. All other antagonists either were bad, or we'll get an MCU-adapted character, like Venom. In the Spider-Man movies, the movies don't exist. So the fact those villains came back is purely random on their part. It could have been anyone. Same for the Spider-Men. Strange contained the spell before any more got through, and those that got through was completely random. It just happened to be the ones we knew. We could get 20 villains, people would still make this exact post, haha. I feel like we had enough. Even with the amount of villains it had, there was still not enough screen time to explore them 100%. Just look at what happened to Lizard and Sandman, who were there just to fill in, and didn't add anything to the story. You wanted more when Lizard was already a throwaway villain in that movie? They did. Off camera. It's just something as simple as, there were no other versions of Spider-Man and their enemies we meet on the movies at the time outside of the animated versions. James Franco was cancelled, otherwise I could have seen New Goblin being in the movie. Vulture and Mysterio would have been cool, but they were recent villains without nostalgia/hype. No one else was missing, except for I guess Topher Grace's Venom, which would have been cool, but not at all necessary. Budget. I bet in a hot seating Topher Grace would have been living in that studio if they called him back for Venom. GIF. Giphy 480 ZWYJ0 EP0 GU9 Jap. They picked one villain from each of the 5 Maguire/Garfield movies, correct? That seems right. 1. The movie had a budget, and 2. They went with the most recognized Spideys, Andrew and Toby, and the most recognized villains, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Sandman, Electro, and Kurt Connors. No need for any more. Disney manages to find a way to give all 3 live-action Spider-Men the Sin Sider 6 movie they all deserved in a pretty satisfying way, with a Venom cameo to boot, and someone still wants them to have done more. For the same reason that background extras in movies don't act like real people. Because there would have been no point to it other than fan service. Then factor in the limitations brought on by budget, time, and COVID. It must have already been a nightmare to get everyone they did get. I used 25% of the budget to buy a yacht, which I then blew up because I didn't like the color. Because unlike the comics, which can put out hundreds of stories, movies are more limited by time and budgets. So the MCU kills off most of its villains rather than use the same villain for multiple stories, so they can showcase more of them. Furthermore, the more you bring back a villain, the less threatening they become. Even in the comics, they avoid using Thanos too much to maintain his level of menace. They did one from each of the pre-MCU Spidey films. That seems sufficient. I know, right? Why couldn't Spidey shoot them dead with all of the Avengers and teabag their dead bodies? Because the movie was already pretty bloated. Because the movie is only 2.5 hours long, person shrugging. Oh, that's easy.
Sony.